everyone, it's Desiree, and I am so excited to be here to help and continue to support Courtney Kreeber and her new kit that she will be releasing. We are live with this kit at this time. Remember, she has a group called Create and INKspire, and there will be more information on that towards the end of the video. But first, let's look at the contents of what you're going to get in your kit. Now remember, this is the first one. So you will get a card that explains everything that comes into, that will be available in your kit. This one has a theme of wildflowers, which is awesome because we all like to color. And these are perfect for all of our coloring mediums. So you can see you have a small, a thin box. It's about 1.5 inches wide. It's very sturdy. Your items are wrapped in tissue paper, as you saw, with the emblem holding it closed. So let's start with the cardstock that you get. You're going to get 2 pieces of 110-pound bright white smooth cardstock by Mohawk. This is actually the cardstock that I use for my card bases. 1 piece of Neenah Desert Storm and 1 piece of Ivory Sheen Pearlescent cardstock by Tonic Studios. You also get the adorable Sweet Treat pack with a little fun fact. Thought it was cool. So make sure you read it because it tells you about airheads. You're going to get a bottle of Nouveau masking fluid. You're also going to receive a shimmer powder, and it is Sunray, I'm going to say Crosette. I'm not sure if that's right. This is one of their new colors, and it is absolutely beautiful. I will be showing that shortly. You're going to get a piece of twine, like a burlap twine, and it's not too thick. It's a really nice weight to it, and it's easy to create a bow. Y'all know how I love to make my bows and not make my bows. You're going to get a packet of embellishments by Trinity Stamps. These are awesome because they're pearlescent. Love my pearlescent sequins. And these are clear. So this is a clear pearlescent, so it will change to the color or get the color feel for what you're putting it on. And there are multiple sizes in this pack, and you do get a lot in there, so they should last a while. Here is one of the stencils. You're actually going to get 2 stencils, so you have the image of the wildflowers, and then you're also going to have another stencil with one side for grass and one side for clouds. You will also receive 2 A2 pieces of Craft Perfect watercolor card by Tonic Studios. Remember, A2 is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Your first stamp set is Sentiments. So this is being thankful, friends, loved, and those that you are missing. And then you get a 4 by 6 stamp set, and here are the beautiful flowers. These flowers were designed, everything when it comes to the stamp sets were designed by Courtney herself. So this is a wonderful kit, saw a lot of possibilities, and I love the color theme. That's something else that this kit provides. You can see you do have a watercolor or a wildflower watercolor feel to this with the soft colors she chose. So I'm going to start out and show you the Nouveau Powders. I had a lot of fun. Now this is pastel, but it's got some shoots of other colors. So one way you can use your shimmer powders is put your powder down first on the paper and then go to town with a spray bottle. You can see just how pale this is. So, but what I love with these shimmer powders is they're just that. Even though you're hardly seeing color, there is shimmer there. So you got this beautiful glow. Me, I like to see color. So I'm really moving this around. I'm wetting. You can also wet the paper first and then add your shimmer powder as well. Yes, I sprayed the brush because I didn't have a bottle of water near me. So I'm using the brush just to move it to get the base color. That's that shimmer that's going to be on the base of this. I'm going to come in and add more so that I can get the flecks to come in on this and to get that darker. So this is an extremely pale shade, but the undertone of shimmer is absolutely gorgeous. It's more gold than yellow. You can see how pale that dried. So I'm just going to build this up now by putting a lot more of the shimmer powder down, so that, and keeping, not adding too much water so that it will be a little bit drier. I love those streaks that I have because there is an orange-red fleck that is in this yellow shimmer powder, which I just think is beautiful. Sorry, I'm slamming things down there, so making the camera shake. So you do get all of those different hues from red to yellow and into that gold shimmer. So once I have these done, and once I'm done fiddling with them and adding my colors and looking for that direct look, I will set these aside so that these can dry. You can see I like the paleness, but I loved those streaks. It makes it look like a piece of wood. So I'll just keep these in my box and let those dry. So let's start with card number 1. Now, some of these will be sped up. I kept as much as I could without the video being too long, so I just have it at different speeds. So I've taken a piece of the pearlescent cardstock, cut it to 4 by 5 1/4, and I grabbed my clear embossing ink by Altenew, and I am going to stamp the leaf, the greenery, and I'm going to create my own pattern paper. I'm going to use gold embossing powder. Now, the gold embossing powder that I'm using is by Recollections, and it has a very, it's a different look of a gold. It's not a bright gold. It's like an antique gold. And I do, for those of you that see my videos, you know I like antique or vintage. So I'm just going to fill in this whole card. So I'm going to have that pearlescent in the background, and then I'm going to have this metallic gold that's going to sit on top. So it's going to give it that elegance. I did heat set that with my heat tool, and I'm going to set this down onto a piece of black cardstock cut 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. It just gives a small border for the mat around our pattern paper that we created. And you will see throughout this video, I have a problem with this bottle. I'm just saying, it clogged up on me almost every single time. Now, I made the mistake of keeping it upside down for many days. So, my fault. Don't do that. FYI, do not do that. But you can see, it just kept on clogging. So, my bad. My fault. I also then added a piece of the Desert Storm cut 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, which now added another border. The reason why I put the black and the Desert Storm is my sentiment is stamped on the Desert Storm, and I stamped it in black. If I have a black sentiment, I need something, for me, this is me now, I need to have something else black on the card, whether it's a matte or whether it's a stamped image, because then it kind of ties together. I don't like to just have a black sentiment if there's not something else black on the card. Either that, or I will stamp the sentiment in a color that matches the card. So you'll see that in a little bit. I chose, as you can see, I switched over to my art glitter glue because I finally found it. It just turned around and right there, it was there. So that I could put down some glue so I could put my jewels down. And that is our first card. For our next card, I have a small piece of Bristol cardstock cut. And you can see I have a rainbow of colors of my Polychromos by Faber-Castell. Sorry, I just wanted to take a sip of a drink there. I'm going to use my Ink on 3 Fade Out. Courtney got me hooked on Ink on 3 Fade Out. Thank you very much. And I'm going to use that to stamp this flower. I do like to stamp it like 3 times. For one, so that you guys can see it, and 2, me. I am going to zoom in, and I am going to keep some of the coloring in, but not all of this. So you'll see I have 2 shades of every color of the rainbow. I'm going to put down the layer of the light shade first, and then I'm going to come in with the darker where I want the shades to be. And then I'm going to continue to fill that in. I will use my blender pencil by Prismacolor to smooth out those colors. Instead of using all of the pigment to fill in the card, I'm going to use my clear colorless blender to do that. So you can see I'm adding the darker shade down in the darker areas, and then I'm filling in with the lighter. So here I come with the orange, so I have my light shade of orange, and then I'm coming in with my darker shade and bringing that up a little bit close to the top so that I have the highlight at the top. I am working on one petal at a time to make sure that I can get each of these petals outlined. And then again, just coming in with the colorless blender. The next color that's in, of course, is the yellow. And then I'm actually using an orange shade, a light orange shade for the yellow to give it that shadow as well. I will continue through the rainbow, the green, the blue, and the purple off camera. So this is what this flower looks like. So I did add a hint of blue to the stem and the leaves for that, just to give a differential between the 2 shades of green. But I couldn't be more pleased with the way that that came out. Why did I put a rainbow in the on that flower? And it's because of one of her sentiments that I'm going to grab for right now that inspired me to create that. And it says, "Friends bring color to your world." So I just thought it was perfect. Going to make sure my sentiment is stamped. I'm using my Gina K amalgam. And of course I pressed too hard onto the stamped ink pad down onto the stamp set because I'm a mean stamper. I'm very forceful sometimes. So I just needed to wipe that away a little bit. So that's why my sentiment looks like that. It's not a defect in the stamp at all. I just got carried away with the ink. I'm going to set this down onto a piece of black cardstock. Again, I've got a black sentiment, so I want to have that framed with a black piece of cardstock, but a very thin line. I don't want to go crazy because I don't want to lose the softness of this kit. I used my paper trimmer and cut some very thin strips from the pearlescent cardstock by Tonic, and I'm going to set them down onto my piece of Desert Storm, which is cut by 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and then I have 3 of those strips. I'm going to make sure they're set next to each other, and I just want them on the left-hand side of the card. I am not one to measure. I actually used my grid that I work on for the first strip, and then I'm just using my eye for the second and third. Now, of course, that I knew was off a little bit, but I just use my eyes to gauge it. It's a handmade card. And again, I am not saying, don't use a ruler or anything else. If you have to, that's fine. But I do get a lot of questions, why don't you use a ruler? Why don't you use your trimmer? Why do you... I am just one that I'll just use my eyes to gauge. And plus, I don't want to grab the paper trimmer. I don't want to grab the ruler because it'll slide for me. To me, it's more cumbersome, honestly. But again, that's just me. So you can see I have those 3 stripes down. I placed my focal point on top, and now I'm just going to add a few glue areas so that I can grab my wax pencil and place down my gems onto my card, just to give it a little bit of embellishment. So I'm going to grab the other one of the panels, and I grabbed a piece of the pearlescent that I had cut down to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Now you can see I cut out the center. That's a way that you can stretch out your papers, such as these, especially specialty papers. By cutting out that center, I still have a piece to use for another card. I'm going to place this panel. Now this is the one where I let it be very streaky. The last one that I was working on when I was showing the shimmer powder. This is cut to be 4 by 5 1/4, and it'll sit on top of that frame of the pearlescent. I grabbed one of the floral images, and I'm just going to stamp that down onto the bottom right hand corner, because I do not want to lose the beautiful effects I have from the shimmer powder. So my image is going to come down to the bottom. Yes, that was my cat. Come down to the bottom, and I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to show you a little bit of coloring here that I'm doing. So I grabbed 3 of my Faber-Castells, and I grabbed them in like a golden yellow, a reddish brown, and then a brown. And all I'm doing is adding the flecks. I'm letting the background be the highlight for the flower, in a way. But just by adding this little bit of colored pencil, you can do that. You can take your colored pencils, no matter what set you have, whether it's wax or oil, and you can actually go on top of your watercolor, your alcohol markers, your shimmer powders. You can do that. It doesn't ruin your pencils. Now, if you use a watercolor pencil, remember, if you're using a watercolor pencil, you will disturb possibly what's underneath, especially if it's a shimmer powder, especially if it's a watercolor. If it's water reactive, you will have that possibility of reacting it. Now, on your alcohol, I'm not quite sure how it would act if you added water to your alcohol, but you could also try a blender pen. I do like to use a blender pen when it comes to my watercolors as well. So you can see I'm just adding these little tiny accents, and now those flowers have come up off of that page. And again, very simple strokes. I am going to come in now with a olive green, a green that's got a yellow base to it, so that it will still have this piece come off, but kind of blend in the background. I didn't want to go with a normal green. I specifically kept it in the Misty because I want to restamp my image. Now, the color that I'm using for this is not black. It's Honey Mustard by Gina K. So I want to make sure that I have that stamped well and not covered. Now, the beauty of it was when you stamp on it, the shimmer does come through the ink. So you may get some on your ink pad, but it's okay. It will not ruin your ink pad. I grabbed the sentiment that says, "Hello, friend," and I'm going to put that towards the bottom as well. I thought those 3 areas were a perfect framing for that. And again, I did use the Honey Mustard for that as well. So because I used that color, I don't need to add a black frame to it. I'm able to just set my double-sided foam tape. Again, this is the 1/4 inch by scrapbook.com. And then I can just place that panel right on top and have the border sitting around it. So I'm able to prop that up. Now I'll still come in with some double-sided foam tape in the center of this cutout, just to make sure that it's even when I go to put it on my standard A2 size card base. All of my cards up till now are a standard A2 size, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And they are all, I'm looking at them all, yes, they are all top folding. It's kind of the type of card that I do go for. Going to set that down, and I'm going to add 2 gems to the center of those 2 flowers. And again, what's great, since these are clear iridescent, They kind of take on the color once the glue dries of the center of the flower. So love them. I grabbed the piece of twine, and I'm just going to tie a bow, and I'm going to set that bow just below the sentiment to frame that. And I'll use my liquid adhesive for that. And then once that's set, that card is complete. For our next card, I grabbed the panel with the Nouveau shimmer that I kind of just filled in and just kept on using the brush to create your own pearlescent paper. And now I'm going to cut it on an angle. Yes, I'm going to cut all of this up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for, or I'm going to create 4 panels that are going to go up the card base that I have, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I did use the Desert Storm for that again. So by cutting these stripes, I'm going to prop them up. I'm going to use my double-sided foam tape. So off of the Desert Storm, I'm going to have this dimension that's going to sit on top of that panel. There will be gaps in between. So in a way, I'm creating the dimension with the pearlescent paper on top of this. And then my focal point is actually going to rest on top of these pieces. Now, we could have I was really surprised I didn't add one more. Everyone, if you guys see my videos before, you know I kind of like the odd numbers. I'm not an even number person. So yeah, I just noticed that now. It's funny when you do a voiceover, when you remember things and see things and say, whoops, yeah, I should have done that. Because now I'm looking at it and say, boy, I wish I would have put that 3rd one in there or that 5th one in there. So yes, yes. Okay, so I'm going to get that down onto my standard A2 size card base. And now we're going to work on the focal. Now I pulled a piece of my mixed media Strathmore paper. It's very thick, it's awesome, and it is blue toned. So again, I'm coming in with my ink on 3 fade out, and I'm stamping the greenery on the top and the bottom, and I just flip the card to do that. I'm going to set my sentiment, the thankful for you, in the center of that, and just have that ready to go. So I'm going to set that aside. I now want to do my coloring. Now I'm going to show you one side, so I'm going to speed this up. Unfortunately, I didn't zoom in, but I still wanted you to see my choice of coloring medium is colored pencils. Don't get me wrong, I love watercolors. I love sprays. I do enjoy them. I mean, I do enjoy alcohol markers as well. I'm still practicing with them. But my coloring medium for images, especially florals, when it comes to that, is the colored pencils. So when I saw the images in this kit, I already knew this is where I was going to go. I grabbed, you can see, I put down my light color. Now I'm coming in with my mid-tone. And then I'm going to come in with my darkest. Now my darkest color for this is actually dark indigo. And I am using my polychromos again. So when it comes to greens, I will either use the extremely dark blue, or I will go with black. Again, you don't have to go with your darkest of greens to get that deep shadow. And that's exactly what I was looking for. It's like Courtney says with her Copics. Grab the scary dark. This is the scary dark. For my reds, I will use the deepest purple or blue for my reds to put that shadow in there. I won't just stop with the darkest red. For my yellows, I will come in with brown, the deepest brown that I can get. So yeah, so I do operate my colored pencils like I do Copics. I put my light color down, then I go in with my mid, then I come in with my dark, and then I go back through it again. I come back with my mid, and I go back with my light sometimes. So it's kind of funny, and I hear her in the back of my head, grab that scary dark. So you can see I have the two sides done, and you all knew at some point the vintage photo was going to come in. So of course I had to go around the outside of that piece. I'm now going to stamp my sentiment, and I'm going to grab the dark chocolate Gina K ink. I didn't want to grab a black. I wanted to accent the branch that the leaves are coming off of. Once that's set, I'm going to grab now the card, and I'm going to look at where this is going to sit. I'm going to grab a pencil and just put lines underneath this panel, because I do need to put some double-sided foam tape underneath those open areas so that it won't collapse when it goes through the mail. So now that I have those marks, I'll be cutting up some double-sided foam tape and just filling in those areas so that when I set my panel down, it'll be supported between those strips. Again, now seeing this, I should have put that fifth one right in the middle of that back of that large section, but it's okay. I'm going to let it go. Let it go. We always do that. We got to let it go. So that is that card. So I really like it. Very simple, very plain, but lots of dimension. So now I'm going to make a slimline card. This piece here, I grabbed a piece of my Nina 80 pound. This is cut to be 3 by 8 inches. I am going to pull in the majority of the flowers, the wildflowers from her stamp set. And I just want the flowers. So I want them to come off the page, but I want them to come off of the bottom. So you can see I've got, just by turning your stamp, and the beauty of it, I did no masking. If I can avoid masking, I will. I love this craft. I love creating with paper, but I will be the first one to say I'm on the lazy side. I want to not have to mask. I want to, because that slows me down. It's not that I don't like it, it just slows me down. So yeah. So you can see I'm just taking the stamps and carefully positioning them so that they're not crossing over. So it looks like you're looking through a lens and you're just seeing the top of these flowers. My cat is walking on my table. Hold on. Okay, I'm back. So sorry. So you can see I filled in the bottom, and then I'm simply going to use the sentiment, my friend. So this card is actually in honor of Courtney, because what I did was I used my alcohol markers. She knows how I feel about my alcohol markers. She knows the struggle is real for me. Now the alcohol markers that I used are my Altenew. I do have the Altenew and Prismacolor, so it was a combination of those. And this is what it looks like. So that card is definitely for her. And I enjoyed this kit. You guys know that if there's something that does not make me happy, I say it, but I could not find anything with within the contents that you get when it comes to this. You can see I also didn't get a chance to get to the stencil, but you do get a stencil. You get 2 of them actually. So many possibilities. And again, you just scratch on the surface when it comes to this. I'm using my liquid adhesive to have my layers come in. As you can see, I have that black coming in as a frame because my images are stamped in black, and so is my sentiment. I am now going to come in with the iridescent gems to the center of all of these beautiful flowers so that they will have that accent as well. And just got to have a little bit of sparkle on every card that we make. Well, and yes, I throw across my wax pencil because that's what I do. Things either fly across the table or they get dropped. But I really did enjoy this kit. What I think is my favorite thing that I did like about this kit is it was calming. And I think the color palette has a lot to do with that. The soft yellow, the soft brown. Nothing was harsh when it came to the images or anything like that. I did find, and it's strange to say, I found the kit calming. So I really, really did have fun. So Courtney, that one is for you in your honor with the alcohol markers. I know she's giggling right now. So here are the cards. We're going to keep this in regular speed. And now it's the fun time for me to give you the information. We are live at the time that this is showing on July 15th at midnight, or probably a half an hour afterwards for the length of this video. This kit is $35.99. There will be shipping added to that price. So $35.99 is for the kit. Just make sure you will have shipping added in. If you are a member of Create and INKspire, you will get 10% off of your kit price. And I'll give you more information on that membership in a moment. Know that this is not a subscription. This is a first come, first serve. All right. So if you want this, if you're on the fence, get your decision, because I honestly do believe this is going to go very quickly. So make sure, and again, all of the links will be down in my video description down below the video. So remember, if you're on your computer, hit the show more on the left-hand side under the video. If you're on a mobile device, hit that arrow, the triangle pointing down so that it can expand on the right-hand side underneath your video. So let's talk about Create and INKspire. It is a membership and it's $3.99 a month. This group's, Courtney developed this group with the primary focus on you, the creator, not her. She supports all of these creators, whether you have only a blog, whether you have Instagram, whether you have a YouTube channel, or maybe you don't have any of the social media. You just like to create and work with like-minded people and be inspired by each other. This is why she created Create and INKspire. It's for all skill levels. All styles are welcomed because, again, we inspire each other. It doesn't matter what we create. It doesn't matter if you are casing a card. Each one will be different, and each one is unique and your own piece of art. And if you've watched any of my videos before, you know I say that often. With this membership, you get a discount on your kit, like I said, of 10%. You also will get INKspiring videos exclusive to the group. You will also receive classes and tutorials, again, exclusive to that group. And you will also receive support if you're looking to grow your following. If you're thinking about starting a YouTube channel or a blog or Instagram, she is there to give you that support. So please, all the links down below, please make sure you check this out. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope I inspired you once you get your kit. So make sure you do move quick. Any questions, please leave those down below and I will get back to you as soon as I can. If you haven't subscribed, I'd love for you to join my group hit that subscribe button and see what we actually do with paper. Everyone, enjoy your day. Make sure you continue to stay safe and healthy, but always remember what's most important for me, along with staying safe. Always be creative. Till next time, everyone.